everyone, to Films with the Women of My Life. My name is Brennan, and joining me tonight is Jess.
Welcome to Films with the Women of My Life.
That's very welcoming. And Mama Kay.
A Wonka welcome to Films with the Women of My Life.
Is that what he says? A Wonka welcome?
No, I would just made that up myself, right off the cuff.
Maybe you'll be the next one. You got similar hair to Gene Wilder. Tonight, we will be doing Wonka, in case you couldn't figure that out based on all of our things. This is a young Wonka origin story based on the Roald Dahl character Willy Wonka, which has two films, the 70s beloved classic Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Gene Wilder, and the more mixed contemporary 2000s Johnny Depp one with Tim Burton.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, yes, which is the original title of the book. And this is a third one that doesn't have to do with that story, just the character. So, do you guys know anything going in other than everything I just said? Have you guys seen the other two movies I just mentioned?
I actually have seen the other two. Like, how many times do I say that?
I would say about 30 to 20% of the time. It's low. It's low.
30 to 20.
I was going to say 30 to 40, and I was like 30 to 20.
Yeah, 40 is a lot.
Yeah, 40 would be a high. That's more like a Mama K hit rate.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I've seen both. Grew up with the OG and was terrified in the beginning as a small child, but grew to love it.
And I've also seen both. So we've all seen both. That's good. Everyone's seen both. I guess we'll talk about our opinions of those two in comparisons later on. But this is the current Wonka, is what it's about. Armed with nothing but I read it wrong. Armed with nothing but a hat full of dreams, young chocolatier Willy Wonka manages to change the world one delectable bite at a time. This has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, with the critics will go 91% with the audience, a 7.3 on IMDb, and a 66 on Metacritic. So, pretty high scores. Those are some pretty high scores. Yeah. They are, I think, higher than the Johnny Depp ones, but not quite as beloved as the original. And if you haven't seen it, it's directed by Paul King, who very famously, I've talked about before, he's made Paddington and Paddington 2. So very, very successful film career so far in family movies. I had high expectations, not because I care to see more Wonka things, but mostly because he's made two excellent children's movies, and so I was excited.
Because you have a love of Paddington.
I don't, but prior to those movies, I was like, who gives a fuck about Paddington? He's a little bear from a thing. And then I saw those two movies, I'm like, oh, what a magical child's movie this is. This is lovely. I would love to.
You're like, I give a fuck about it.
Give a fuck about it.
That's right.
I give a fuck, quite a fuck.
Return that bear to me, bitch.
It's and then perfect, who would want to see a Wonka prequel with Timothy Chalamet? What's that going to be? Like, I can imagine that being a big fat eye roll, but no, I was very excited because of Mr. King's involvement. Besides Timothy Chalamet, you got Hugh Grant, Rowan Atkinson, Calla Lane, Olivia Colman, Keegan-Michael Key, a bunch of other people in here. I don't need to read everybody. But if you haven't seen Wonka, it's still hanging out in theaters because it's made $508 million at box office as of this recording. So
wow.
It's been cleaning up. We're doing very well. Very good for the Wonka film. And we're going to go into spoilers here now. So Willy Wonka is an aspiring magician, inventor, and chocolatier. He arrives in Europe after his travels through wherever he's been. He's been collecting all types of rare delicacies to make his chocolates, and he does, he has little tricks. So he's going to go out and share his findings with Europe. And gets to town, and he takes his chocolates out. He's like, look, these chocolates are lovely. Everyone loves them, right? And everyone does love them, except for the chocolate cartel, which is led by Slugworth. That's what they're referred to in this. Arthur Slugworth, who has a character in, I think, at least the first other Wonka movie. And he also has his two other guys, Prodnose and Fickelgruber. And they do not like all this crazy chocolate. They want their plain standard chocolate monopoly empire. They don't want all these flavors and this flying around, and this is just a bunch of nonsense. We just cannot have fun inserted into our chocolate. I'm like, okay, all right, it's a fun little storybook premise.
Chocolate's serious.
Speaking of people who ate fun, there's also the caretakers of this the worst Airbnb ever. The Airbnb and turn you into an indentured servant, run by Olivia Colman and other guy with the teeth.
I don't know him.
Yeah, I don't know him either. But they are Scrubbits and what is their names? Scrubbits and Bleacher, and they are.
Oh my god!
They basically say you can stay with us for 1 shilling. What's their currency? They're the little schmeckles, shillings.
I don't remember what it is.
Whatever. He arrives with, we'll say shilling. I know it's not. I mean, people are screaming, but whatever. He arrives with 12 currency in his pocket. He gives them away. He loses them. He's not really a careful gentleman with that. He's altruistic, and so he has no money. And like, oh, you can stay with us if you don't want to read this fine print of this long contract. And he's like, oh, it looks fine. I can't read. And he signs his life away, and now he has to live in this basement with the guy from Downton Abbey and a bunch of other misfit characters who accidentally signed their whole life away, and now they scrub all day long until Wonka, with the help...
The song is Scrub.
They scrub all day long. It's truly all they know. And it's until that he gets help, that Wonka gets help from the little girl Noodle, who is got the worst debt of all, to Scrubbit and Bleacher. With her help, he gets out and tries to make a name for himself on the streets with his chocolate. And so it's Wonka and his band of misfits trying to get the word of good chocolate out there, while they're being thwarted by the chocolate cartel and Scrubbit and Bleacher, and also a little orange man who keeps breaking in and stealing his candies. But we'll find out more about that later. Mama Kay, what'd you think of Wonka?
It's a musical.
Yeah,
did I mention that?
I
No,
feel
I
like
don't think so.
only one person told me, like, in passing, and that was the only instance that I knew it was a musical. Like, I don't even think they really widely
Advertised it as a musical.
Marketed
Right.
as a musical.
That's a good point, actually. I didn't. Yeah, you're right. They didn't advertise it as that. Although I figured there would be songs because the other two have a lot of songs. I mean, I guess this is the most musical.
I don't know about the second one. I feel like
the second one has songs. They
not.
just are really bad. They're just
they're just bad and
horrendous.
dark. So yeah,
They're weird. They're like they're like the first one has like timeless classic songs. This one has like
True.
big like blockbustery musical number songs, and the Johnny Depp one has like like this weird like dated like 80s.
You sounded
mixed
like
with
Crazy Frog, like.
That's what that one sounds like. The Oompa Loompas of that
was
movie
a good Crazy Frog.
sound like Crazy Frog, and so this is much more timeless classic. Anyway, okay.
I think that if you say that it's a musical, then you can immerse yourself in this movie because it's fantastical. You know, that's the whole thing about it is he comes into town. You have to suspend all belief.
Oh yeah,
for
this
movie.
world doesn't live in the world. It's a children's world.
Right. It's a children's world. It's a little Harry Potter-ish.
Not serious enough for Harry Potter. They only get paid in chocolate. Like that's the currency of the world. Like it's less serious.
No, I'm talking
than
about
anything.
The look of it is very Harry Potter-ish.
Oh, aesthetics.
Aesthetically, it feels Harry Potter to me. Harry Potter, not a musical. Let's be clear.
That should be like tonally. I'm like tonally. This is just like very.
No, tonally, this is what I expect from a musical. Like this is a musical, a happy musical, Sound of Music kind of musical, not Hamilton. That kind of thing.
No, different from Hamilton.
So.
I would say.
Very, very different from Hamilton. So we hear the story of everything. This is exactly, honestly, how I imagined Willy Wonka came to being. The only issue I have with it is that when we meet Willy Wonka later in his life in the other movies, he's very insular and he's very, I don't want to say he's an introvert, but he's very insular. This is not that Willy Wonka. Timothy Chalamet would not play it like that, and it's not written like that. I liked I liked this universe. It was fun to get into. It's not something I would probably visit again, but I think if you immerse yourself in it, you'll enjoy the movie. There were things I didn't like a little bit we can talk about, but some of the characters were great. the Oompa Loompa, Hugh Grant is the Oompa Loompa, just outshines everyone in the movie, though.
Oh, you're pro.
So
you're
I was so
Hugh
impressed
Grant.
with myself. Like when the Oompa Loompa revealed itself, I was like, "Wait, that's Hugh Grant," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got it right!" I didn't even know he was
you recognized a person. That's pretty good.
I recognized a person, but like, and it wasn't even like a super super famous actor. It was. I feel like he's like again, he's
Hugh
well
Grant's
known,
super
but
famous.
I don't know.
I mean,
he's
famous,
well known,
but
I wouldn't say like he's in a lot of things that I see a lot.
He's the
but
and
he
now.
wouldn't be in Jess movies.
No, I guess
and
not.
he was dressed as an Oompa Loompa, so I gave myself a pat on the back.
That's good.
for-
No, that's good. That's a good catch.
Yeah, so I think he took the movie away a little bit from Timothée Chalamet, which was fine with me. I love Olivia Colman, so I like watching her in anything. It makes me sad that she was such a terrible person in this movie. But on the whole,
I think she had so much fun with that. She was like, "Oh, I get to be just."
I'm sure she did.
Like not since when she was the queen in that Yorgos Lanthimos movie has she got to just be, "Wow, fucking terrible, mate," or whatever the fuck they say.
Yeah, so
Australian, whatever.
So good. So that's where we can start.
All right, Jess.
So I guess maybe to preface it, I wasn't excited about seeing Wonka. It's not like I was
wasn't
in
either.
loved with Willy Wonka. It was just kind of like in theaters. And again, I don't think there was as many cool things to see this December as there usually is. So there wasn't anything that I was super excited about seeing. It was kind of the thing where I'm like, sure, let's go to the movies. I guess we'll just see this one. And I'm not really big into musicals. And my thing is, like, if it's a musical, it's gotta be a really good one. Like, so good that they play on the radio. Kind of like Frozen. Like, everyone knows the Frozen songs. Like, I would consider songs like that a good kind of musical-ish. Like, they're not gonna play Timothée Chalamet on the radio. So...
No, it's not a radio musical. No, it's
so
a theater kid musical.
When it's just kind of like regular songs, and his voice is just it's really just him singing, just regular songs with a regular voice that like it's not in your head, you're not humming it afterwards. It even makes it less interesting for me. So again, I wasn't really super keen on seeing it, and I did. But I think it was fine. Like I really don't have anything terrible to say. I don't have anything overly good to say. It's kind of exactly what you expected it to be. Timothée Chalamet also isn't my favorite. I don't get the hype about him.
No,
you've been I was going to say it a long time, like, but Jess especially, I guess you too, okay. You guys have not been pretty negative mostly on Timothée Chalamet, not a fan of his work.
I'm not going to say I'm negative. I just don't understand why he's so like kind of like
I don't
Sydney
get the hype
Sweeney.
either.
We were just kind of like, why is she so famous? Like it's like kind of like with him. Like, why is everyone so obsessed with him? I don't get it. To me, he's just like a regular dude.
Yeah,
I think he's a good actor. I think he's good. Like yeah, I don't know. I think he's he's charismatic. I think you can't have any pretty boy kind of carry a thing. And he carries this thing. Like, he can do it by himself the whole time. Like, there's great little side characters and everything. But when it's just him by himself, I don't feel like, get me back to something else. Like, I'm never, like, kind of watching the clock in this. I guess I'm taking over now.
I think he's good as Wonka.
Yeah.
Like, I totally believe him as Wonka.
Yeah, I mean, none of my wildest dreams ever is about Timothée Chalamet singing and dancing. So
no, I suppose
or doing anything.
But for a lot of people, it probably is. You know,
I think for a lot of people,
I
it
think
is.
so.
It's just not in my wildest dreams.
It's not my wildest dreams either. No.
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to give this a very C average grade.
Yeah, I liked this quite a bit. I had a nice big smile on my face pretty much during the whole thing. It bought me, I had to take maybe 10, 15 minutes to buy in. Like, the very first thing, he's on, like, pirate ship coming in, and he's singing immediately, like, right off the bat. Like, we kind of kick it off. And, he's putting into it, and everyone's moving around. I'm like, okay, everyone's going. This is okay. And then we get into town. I'm like, all right, and then I got the 12 shillings in my pocket. Shillings, whatever. 12 things in my pocket. I got 9 in my pocket. I got 7. He keeps losing them, giving them away. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like this is good character building now. You walking around
I thought
town.
he was rich when he just kept giving all his money away, and then I learned that he just is not good with money.
No, he's just
really bad.
He's just kind of a child. Like he's just like, yeah, here, you need money, I give it to you. Like he's literally like completely. Right. And it's like I've survived on the kindness of strangers because I am only kind to strangers. So if we all just be like, if we're all just a little more like Wonka, we would all be fine all the time. It's people you share your chocolate with, or whatever he says. But yeah, I enjoyed a lot of the songs. I liked the silly, annoying kid ones, like the noodle, noodle, apple strudel. I like that song, and I like the you'll have a sweet tooth. I do. I liked all the songs in here. The Scrub song we already did. I know you guys saw this a little bit ago, but
but not enough for it to stick. Like when you said Scrub, like it was the first time I've thought about it since I've seen the movie.
That's my favorite one because it's just all the characters. Like they'll say something like, "We don't have to do this anymore." And they're like, "Scrub, scrub, scrub." Like they kind of like I am Groot-ish. Like for a while it becomes their way of speaking. It's the musical aspect of it too, but I think I like how this all plays together and everything.
Okay, we're done.
No, that was it. No, side characters. Who? I mean, there's a lot of little characters populating here. Who do we like in here? I love the chocolate cartel. Mr. Carson, of course.
Yeah, I think we did have some laughs when that guy just kept getting fatter and fatter with the chocolate.
Michael Key's character.
Oh yeah. Getting in and out of the car that time, or I don't remember if it was in or out, but it was like, oh my god.
He goes on the ground, gets back up,
He's perfectly cast in that, I think. I mean, you have to start and end with Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa.
Jess, you're more mixed on this. What did you think of Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa? Because I don't really... Maybe it was my audience like not really liking the movie until he came on, and then they all started laughing and uproariously.
Yes,
yeah, that's kind of irritating to me because I'm like,
because his face, like it was really funny to see him like that.
I guess I'm just.
I don't think it's actually the Oompa Loompa. I think it's just like a grown man's face on a little orange man's body.
And it's just like, funny. I'm serious Hugh Grant, and I'm speaking so seriously, but I'm a little tiny man, and I'll have you know, I'm actually quite.
And I mean,
tall,
his personality and his jokes were, and like how cheap he was, or cheap how Oompa Loompas were, or like how they wanted to get every penny's.
Yeah,
worth of what they like.
1,000 times their thing or whatever.
Yeah, all that was like. I think all that was funny.
I think it was funny when he was in the the Foot Locker or whatever it is toward the end of the movie, and he's like making cocktails in his
first class seat. The difference between what was it like first regular class and economy and economy plus. We're like, we got economy plus for you, and it's just like a sign over it's a bench, and they just put a divider in the middle.
Economy plus. Yeah,
a little bit more like.
And then his is first class, and he's in like a Louis Vuitton case or something. It's pretty funny.
I like how just cartoonishly villainous the chocolate cartel is. Like the Slugworth guy, you think like. Because you find out the noodle is like a relative, like a niece, like a lost niece, and you think like, oh, maybe he's gonna discover and have his heart changed because like because like the bad indentured servant holder people, they kind of he makes them kind of tricks them into falling in love with each other, so they're like distracted by their love, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a nice thing, like they're distracted by a nice thing to make them not be mean, like that's a very Wonka way of handling it, and then like he's like Slugworth. Like, oh, is he gonna have a change of heart? He's like, oh no, your mother showed up, and I was like, oh, this child is so poor and crying. I had to throw it away. And then she was like, where's my child? And I said, oh, I gave her shillings because her poor was getting all over me. And then the guy gags because he says poor. It's great. Like,
every time the guy says poor,
that's what, like all the jokes.
Oh, that was funny. I do remember that now. Thinking back, yeah.
Good callback jokes, and a couple of them. The double they use it a few times. The that's nothing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's double. That means something. And then it comes back a couple times. They have a lot of good... this is my favorite comeback around joke. The chocolate that gets you drunk in like 5 minutes. And so it's like, oh, yes, it's like a 5 drink... it's like a 5-drink flight or something. They give it to the security guard, and he's like, all right, first he's like, that's some nice there's whiskey on the tip, and a sherry, and then and then they're gonna start dancing, and then they're gonna start crying, and then they're gonna start making inappropriate phone calls, and then it comes back around that the two guards phone call each other. The two guards phone call each other, and they're like the long lost, and then they fall in love. I love that. I love that his little tricks on the bad guys are like things to actually make their lives better too.
I think sometimes a lot of the humor in this, I don't know if the King guy who made this is British, but there is British humor in here, and sometimes that falls differently. And like the joke that you're talking about with the alcohol and everything like that, that's very British. And
I'm gonna call her.
I find those kind of things super hilarious, and I know a lot of people don't. That's the thing. Is like you either like it or you don't.
I was just saying,
it's not about.
There was also like kind of like a drug reference for chocolate, like addiction kind of thing going on, and I was like, this is like a kids movie, and it's like basically they're like the chocolate is drugs, like you basically get high, you do all the stuff, you're craving it, and I'm just like, it's just funny that message is kind of appropriate for this audience.
Chocolate's kind of like the all-purpose currency, because it's also like they keep it in a vault and they water it down. Like, it's supposed to be like literally money too, because like he bribes the cop, and it's like a drug to the cop, and you get addicted, you get super fat, like getting addicted to drugs. But like it's also like the paying off, like, and I think they pay off other people with chocolates too. Like the priest gets like little handoff chocolates, so they can store all their watered down chocolate under the 500 chocoholic monks. These are the little stories.
The giraffe going into the
I would not have bet on multiple giraffe bits in this movie, but there are multiple giraffe
exactly
bits. That's another thing. Like I said, with the two the alcoholic chocolate with the security guards bit, like these bits come around the giraffe multiple times, like they use their premises over and over, and that's what the guy gagging at the poor thing, like they use it over and over, so it gets stronger as it goes, and the jokes compound as they go, and a lazy script wouldn't do that, but this man takes care of his audience. What did I say? Leitmotif. I don't know if you guys noticed music, like they only used a couple of the original songs. They used Pure Imagination, but then they also, the Oompa Loompa song, when he's first like sneaking around, or I think when he first mentions it, you hear the leitmotif, the doom, 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 but it's like way off in the distance and kind of scary.
Like an Oompa Loompa might be.
Exactly. Like another thing, in this one, they're not, like in the first one, they're like, he's like, oh yeah, their whole land was destroyed, so they have to all come live here with this terrible tragedy. And then in the second one, I don't really know, like he makes deals with them in the jungle, and then they come and work for him. And then in this one, it's just one guy, and he's on the lam from his people because he was a shitty security guard, and like it doesn't. And at the end of this one, I am asking myself, I'm like, all right, he's gonna make the chocolate factor if he didn't make it right there with all his magic or whatever. But like, how's he gonna get? He's got a whole like squad of Oompa Loompas. And the other thing I was thinking, the three Willy Wonkas we've now been given in media, very different. All three are very different now. The last thing I was thinking about when I was watching this, I'm like, this movie strengthens the Tim Burton one, because now it's not like, oh, there's the classic and that bad one. It's now there's the classic, there's that 2000s one where it was like the weird one and the mean one and the off-putting one, and now there's this one, the contemporary musical one, the young one, the more nice one, I guess, because this Willy Wonka, I can't see like casually murdering children, like, because the other two are like totally down with like, oh, these kids are assholes, fuck them. And you even said on the Gene Wilder one, he's like an introverted guy, like he's a man scorned, he doesn't come out in public, people come to his little world, and then if they misbehave, he gets rid of them. This guy is a little more he's still,
they kind of get rid of themselves though.
Yes, he facilitates, but like I can't imagine this guy, all the bad guys, he gives as much chances to as possible. Even the Chocolate Cartel at the end, when they have him dead to rights, he gives them the jar to trap them, knowing like that's kind of the first inkling, like, oh, he's trapping them with the, oh no, stop, please. Like it's the only inkling that I get of that. But this Wonka is almost a little too.
He's the nice Wonka.
He is the nice
That's
Wonka.
it. He's the friendly, nice indentured Wonka.
Are you going to see the Oompa Loompa Strikes Back next, where he has to have his dark chapter, so we can see how he becomes the more cynical Wonka?
Wait, is the movie going to be called The Oompa Loompa Strikes Back?
I'm spitballing. There's no.
The Oompa Strikes Back.
This is just me saying, like, you kind of have these other Wonka versions. You see adult Wonka, full-grown Wonka, as a kind of, he's still that silly, strike that, reverse it. He's got those little sayings, but he's got that dark underbelly. And this guy, he has it in him, but he doesn't quite. It's not there yet. Like, I can't see this guy being ruthless.
Yeah, I don't know that we really want to know how to get from that one Wonka to the other Wonka, because
what could break this man?
I didn't even need to know this story. I never once thought.
No, I didn't
how
either.
did he become the way he is?
Jess is in the I didn't ask.
I didn't want to see this. I was just wanted to get swept up in a children's fantasy musical, which is exactly what happened. I got exactly what I came to the cinema for.
I got a free ticket to this, which is why I went. Otherwise, I don't think I would have seen this movie.
You got the golden ticket?
I got a golden ticket. That's actually how it was marketed to me. Yes, I did win a golden ticket. So, for being a golden age. So, in the movie theater with me, in the very full movie theater with me, were a bunch of people exactly my age and older. And it was very interesting for watching a Timothée Chalamet Wonka movie with people that were in their 70s. There was a lot of, what is he doing? What is happening? Like, who is that? I don't know. Oh, she was in The Queen. That kind of stuff was happening.
That's nice.
Yeah, a lot
of that. Was there clapping
happening
when Carson came on because they all knew he was from Downton Abbey?
No, but there was wow, Downton Abbey, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's
dude, when he came out with his Ebenezer Scrooge nightcap in that one scene, it took me out. Oh my god, I was laughing so hard when they're all at the windows and each one comes up one at a time, and then do you mind? And he comes out with his little nightcap hanging over the candle. I'm like, come on, man, this is ridiculous looking.
Pretty sure he wore that in Downton Abbey.
No, he brought his own to the set. That's his home one. He can't. They don't need to. He saves the $20 on the cast.
I saw this throwbacks. So I saw this thing on TikTok where this girl was like, "This movie didn't answer my only one question: is how did these old people end up in that bed?"
That's a better movie. How did that?
And I'm like, that's true. Like, that's if there was going to be some prequel, that's what I want to know. How did all those old
Charlie
people end up in
Bucket.
that bed?
Yeah, Charlie Bucket origin story is next.
Oh, I just had a really good idea for a short story, like where they're like, oh, come on, guys, get up. And then they're like, oh no, we're not gonna get up yet. And then they pull the blanket off, and it reveals all they're all one piece, like they're all
one
connected
person.
underneath, and they're just like, yeah, they're just four arms or four heads and 8 arms sticking out, but the middle is this like Jabba the Hutt torso thing in the middle. They're like, oh, that's why they never got out of the bed. They're all one piece. Like that was.
Yeah, I would rather watch that. That piqued my interest.
Like, we're getting way better ideas here. The
I thought you were going to say you lift up the cover and there's like 400 Oompa Loompas under there.
Oh, yeah, you could do that elsewhere.
Or 20.
I like the being attached. That's good stuff. There is a line in here where it's when he builds the like prototype. That's gonna be like that imagination room later, where like there's the chocolate river. He builds like a half one in like a little like mall kind of area, and there's like the flowers.
That was weird.
Yeah, but I remember when they poisoned the flowers, right? And that grows the hair. Like the plot is kind of paper thin. Of like, we just need to stop Wonka spreading cheer. But the one woman has a little girl growing a mustache, and this is what you get for mustaching my daughter. And she lights like a Molotov cocktail and throws it at the whole thing, and that's what starts the fire. And she throws a bottle, and it hits the chandelier, and that blows up and starts a huge fire. I'm like, I wonder if that's supposed to be a trans thing. Like, this is what you get for mustaching my daughter, and then she burns a thing down. I thought that was a slight swiped veil. Like, I'm gonna freak out about this thing that isn't that big a deal, and then lights a place on fire.
See it on Twitter or something.
It was abused. And then also it wasn't played as a joke. It's part of the world because it's the fantasy musical child world. But at the end, they're like, we're at spoilers. We found your mother. She works at a library. She lives there too. She lives and works at the library. I'm like, oh, that's like what a kid would think. Like, oh, the teacher lives at the school. I'm like, that's so
right. You don't see them at the grocery store because they live at the school.
They live at the school. They live at the library. I'm trying to think if I had any other. I was just doing my final observations here. Right.
I like the throwback of when he goes into the city, he loses all his money, so now he's got to live at the terrible B&B, and she has the long contract that he has to sign, but he can't read it. And that, in the first movie, there's a big contract, and he's like, "You did not read the fine print, remember?" And
I didn't know that was a reference from the first movie.
Oh, you're right.
I think so.
I think that is it's in totally different context, but you're right. It is the same. Oh, that's part. Right. He learned to be
evil. Stole the fizzy lifting drink.
He learned to be evil from his trauma.
Yeah.
That's why he But that's the thing is, I want to see what breaks him, because if none of this breaks him, what does break him? Like, it must be something really ghastly that messes him up. I would like to see. I don't know.
And then Slugworth too. I mean, is in the 1970 version anyway. Slugworth becomes. Is in on the situation. Slugworth's not really a bad guy.
The man who plays Slugworth, he's like some random dude. Like, he's like, no, this isn't the real Slugworth. Even though, like, you think, oh, Slugworth, he's gonna look like,
oh yeah, it's Slugworth light
evil,
or whatever.
Evil German man or whatever. You've done well, young man. Like, it's evil as hell.
One of the scariest parts.
This was my final rank the 3 Wonka movies. Now that we have 3, Jess.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, you like the Johnny Depp one more than this?
No. I like the OG one first, Johnny Depp one second, and this one last.
That's what I'm saying. You like Johnny Depp one more than this one?
I don't remember the Johnny Depp one too much, except for his face. But this one was so bland. At least I remember something from this Johnny Depp one.
His face. Okay.
I do remember, like, Johnny Depp one, so everyone, or every girl my age was obsessed with Johnny Depp because Pirates of the Caribbean came out. And then when this came out a few years later or whatever, every girl was like, no.
Everyone's ovaries died.
Yeah,
like
dude, no way. Like,
shriveled up, all done.
So you go from like the sexy drunk pirate to the scariest mannequin-looking thing. Oh, it's so creepy. What were you saying? Okay, you rank these 3.
Yeah, when I think of the Johnny Depp one, I believe I've only seen it once, and all I can think of is when his dad is the dentist and he's putting those terrible braces on him with all of the rubber bands and it's just that's what I think of when I think of the second one. So for me, it's definitely 1, 3, 2, and 2 is so far down the line. 1 is way on top, and I guess 3 is like right smack just in the
So it's a very clear 1, 3.
Yeah,
2. I'm with you. I think 1 is like kind of an it's like a masterpiece. It's like a top 100 movie. You can't make there's no other movies like it. There's no other movie like it's a mockumentary for like 45 minutes with a bunch of little skits, and then you're in like a fake place that they threw together. The last and like they threw it all together. The songs they just made up. Like, it's all these actors from all over that don't speak English. Like, and it all works perfectly. It's like lightning in a bottle. Like, you can't replicate it. And then the Johnny Depp one's like, I was young when it came out, so I watched it probably a decent bit, but I don't know if I had a real critical opinion on it. And then, like, as I got older, I'm like, the songs are just so horrible. There were always things I liked about it, though. I liked the dentist stuff because it was so weird and different. Like, why has he got this 80-year-old dad, and then, like, in the future he's still an 80-year-old dad? It's like 40 years. Like, Johnny Depp's like 45. Like, 40 years later, he's still Christopher Lee in where is he living? He's in this weird city that's in the middle of it was very strange, but I always kind of admired. There was also like the Small World scene where like it's the intro and then it blows up and all the sparklers are flying and it's like, ooh, there's some good stuff in that middle one. But this one is like a complete good movie, good modern movie, not an instant classic, but not a uneven weirdo thing like the second one. So I'm with you, Mo. Okay, I'm a 1-3. I'm a 1-3-2 pretty cleanly, but. Is this one enough to get recommended? I'll start with you, Mama K. Do you recommend Wonka?
In the softest way.
The softest way. Jess?
Yeah.
I know, like, I'm really on the fence, but there's nothing really I hated or disliked it. So again, I think it's just, like, in the very, very softest way, sure.
I'm a more firm recommend.
Oh.
I'm a pretty solid recommend. I think, I guess you have to like musicals a little bit, but
You do.
and you got to be willing to be swept away. Like, you can't go in, but like if you're going into a Wonka movie, if you're seeing this at all, I got to imagine you're going in as open hearted as you can, because you can't. I don't know what you would expect, I suppose, from a Wonka movie if it wasn't this, the Johnny Depp version again. I don't know. The original,
No.
you can't do anything like the original.
You can't do that.
They did the best, like, recapturing that feeling at the end when he's kind of building it with imagination, and he does the pure imagination song, because they do very little of the original music here. They do very little pieces here and there, but
It's great though. Right at the end,
it is. I was like, wow, they built and earned to it. Like, I feel like they earned this building of, like, oh, here we are. He's made the factory, even if it's in his imagination at this point. Like, I feel like, oh, we've made it to this stage. I still would like to find out how he becomes evil Wonka or anti-hero Wonka, but maybe in the future. I didn't really want this movie, but if Paul King makes it, well, then I'm open. So 3 recommends of varying degree for Wonka, and I believe our next show is The Draft Show. Just a reminder for people who have not heard The Draft Show before. Every year we do a tournament, a movie tournament on my Instagram. Brennan_podhost is where you go for that. And the 4 hosts, the 3 of us here, and our 4th host, Nicole, we all draft the top movies of the year as what we think will be a popularity contest, not necessarily our favorites. We each get teams of 8. And then the tournament goes on for a month and change. Every day is a different matchup to vote on. You vote on your favorite. And at the end, we find out what the listener film of the year is. I don't remember what it is offhand, but when we do the draft episode, I'll make sure I have all those stats ready to go for us. And then after that, of course, we have the annual top 5 show. We do our bottom 5. We always do a couple extra superlatives, things we're looking forward to, all that crap. So, big end-of-year shows coming up. 2023, good year for me. I don't know about you guys, but I was very satisfied.
Cool.
We'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
Next time, I will let you guys know. In the meantime, here's the final plugs. Films with Women in My Life on Facebook. Again, that Instagram is Brennan_podhost for the tournament and other things. And you can email the show, filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Also on YouTube, just search Films with the Women in My Life. All right. Thank you guys for being on for Wonka.
Thank you.
Oompa loompa.
Doopity-doo. So next time, this is Brennan signing off saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.